everyone, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Hotel Talk Podcast. Here with me, Farah Shamas. And today I have with us someone very dear to me who is also from quite a famous legacy and lineage. She is none other than Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter, Kiera Chaplin. However, she's made quite a name for herself in her own right. The beautiful model, philanthropist, and businesswoman here with us. Kiera, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, pleasure. Great to be here.
Oh, it's really my pleasure. So, my dear, you are so many things, all wrapped up into one beautiful lady. But let's start at the beginning, and maybe you can tell the audience a little bit about you. Who are you? Where did you grow up? And then we'll get more into the legacy and everything else later.
So, yeah, I was born in Belfast. My mother's Irish and my dad is English American. He's Chaplin from my dad's side. And then I grew up in Switzerland because Switzerland is where my grandfather went to retire after the US. And so my dad was born there. And I stayed in Switzerland till the age of 16. And at 16, I went to Paris where I started modeling. And then I started acting a little bit. And then I had a film production company for a while and started doing lots of different things in fashion and entertainment.
Oh my goodness. That is a good summary. I'm impressed. 10 out of 10. But that's a lot that has been packed in to your life so far, and I just can't even wait to see what unfolds later on. So I don't want to stay too much on your grandfather, who is, amazing. We all know. Who doesn't know Charlie Chaplin, what he did for the world, how many laughs, what a profound figure he's been. But let's just talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure anybody listening will want to know a little bit about that. So what has the Chaplin legacy meant in your life? Tell us a bit about what it meant for you growing up with that surname, but also, being so directly related to one of the most famous figures of the last century. How did that impact your life? I'm sure positively, but also there must have been some struggles along the way.
I feel very lucky that it's my grandfather and not my father, because it's even though it's kind of close, it's not really. And he passed away before I was born. So I've been able to put an image of him kind of in my head. I've been able to not feel the pressure as much as my dad had it growing up, being so close to him. And so for me, I feel like it's been a bit easier. And I think it's been really fun, and I feel really lucky because so many people adore him, and straight away when they meet me, they'll usually like me. Just because I'm related.
Yeah. They feel happy.
I'm special as well, and I'm like, oh, thanks.
You are, my dear. You are.
No, it's nice, and it's nice to be related to somebody that's brought so much laughter, and somebody that had, I think, a really pure heart, and that would stand up for the underdog. And yeah, he made beautiful films, and so in that sense, he's always really inspired me to to bring joy or to bring happiness, but in my own way, but just keeping that side of things. And then also he's always inspired me because he came from the streets of London and conquered America and the world, and he was so passionate about his art that it taught me, like, well, if you're really passionate about something, you can be really successful with it. And then I also just really I'm really happy to have his mentality of fighting for the underdog, and he had this just a beautiful way of thinking. So I like to take all the positives. Obviously, there's some negatives of people maybe that will judge you, or as soon as you start working in the same industry or doing anything, people think the only reason you're successful is because of your name and all this. And I know now, after many years, when I was younger, maybe it would bring doubts to me, but now I've been in the business so long that I know that if it was just about having a name, it would be so much easier. I wish.
Yeah,
No,
true.
you have to prove yourself twice as much. So
And
yeah, so
so many
people,
more people would have made it. Like,
yeah, and
let's
I
be
feel like now
honest.
people can say whatever, and I know it's not true, and I'm thinking, yeah, great. You know what? I wish
Mm,
it would have been so simple, but no, we all have to. You all have you have to be good at what you do. If not, it's never going to work. It doesn't matter what.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you don't enjoy it, it's going to show and then it's never going
Yeah,
to work.
exactly, exactly.
So you mentioned going into modeling when you were young, 16. How did that start? Okay, apart from obviously that you're a beautiful lady, but how did modeling start? What happened and you stumbled into that line?
So I guess it was the 90s, and supermodels were, the rock stars of that generation. All the covers of the
Definitely.
magazine, it was very glamorous, and I loved fashion. I loved, looking at the fashion shows. I loved the clothes. I had all the supermodels plastered all over my bedroom. I liked the artistic side of it as well, and I hated school. So I was like, I can't wait to get out of school and to be able to go, to be a model. I had
Mm,
a photographer friend of the family who had told me like, oh, you should come to Paris when I was about 14, 15.
mm.
My parents made me wait until I was 16. But as soon as he put that in my ear, I don't know how serious he was, but I was like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm going to do that. I don't
here
care.
I
I don't like
am.
school. I'm out. And so my parents managed to keep me in school until 16. And at 16, they just saw that there was no holding me back. And I went off to Paris.
Amazing. And then how did it start? I remember you told me a story ages ago, and I love that story about applying for a job, getting it, and only when the photographer was taking a picture of you going, "Oh, your surname's Chaplin." Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it was with Mario Testino for Vogue. And
imagine.
I'm starting out, and there's so many, I'm 16. There's so many beautiful girls all around me that are more beautiful, taller, skinnier. This, like, you're just like comparing yourself to everybody, and you're doing a million castings, and
Mm,
you're doing like 15 castings a day, and nothing's coming off it. And finally, I get Vogue with Mario Testino. And then I start doubting myself. Is it because of me, or is it because of my last name that I got this job? Maybe it's just my name, and maybe I'm only here because of my last name, and really doubting myself. But then when I got to the shoots, the stylist was asking me, she said to me, so how are you related to Charlie Chaplin? Is it through your mom or your dad? And the
yeah.
photographer, and Mario Testino was like the biggest photographer of the
I mean, he
time.
was the biggest,
Yeah, and
literally.
he and it's Vogue. And he turned around and looked at me, and he was like, what is she talking about? And then I was like, oh my God, he didn't know. He booked me and he didn't know. And I'm here on my
Imagine.
own merits, and it felt really good. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. It must have. But that
Mhm.
wasn't your first job, was it? Or was it?
One of the first ones. One of the first ones, because I that was in Paris. And when I went to Paris, I wasn't like it, I did a lot of castings without a lot of results, and then afterwards, funny enough, I went to New York, and in New York I started booking things really fast, but in
Mm.
Paris for some reason they were not falling all over me like I had hoped they would. But after I was in New York, then suddenly they all liked me more in Paris. But
It
yeah,
all,
yeah, it was harder. I think also because the standards are really high in Paris, and yeah, I don't know.
mm,
I mean, I still got, Vogue, and I still had a few good things, but it was a
mm,
lot slower. And then I went off to New York, and then I was modeling there, and I was also acting, started taking acting lessons and kind of exploring a bit more the whole
mm.
entertainment industry.
Well, I want to get into that as well. But before we get onto your acting, I want to talk because you've touched on that and this is just goes for life. There are always people who are better than us in anything. Like
Mhm.
I tell my kids that, like, be the best that you can be, but don't compare yourself because there's always going to be someone cleverer, prettier,
Yeah,
taller, and we're unique, and that's what makes it work. That's what makes us
yeah,
us and amazing. So you're not a conventional model, especially when we compare to the 90s, meaning you're not anorexically, sickly, skinny. You've got a
Yeah.
beautiful body. You've got curves. You've actually got boobs. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you're
I
so
remember, well,
unique, and
back in
so,
the day, I
and I
was
think that's so
trying,
important for younger girls. So I
yeah.
think we need to talk about that.
Back in the day, I was trying, and I'm not as tall. I'm like
Mm,
174 and most, that's like the minimum to
yeah,
model.
yeah.
And
I mean, Kate Moss
I
is a
had,
bit less than that, isn't she? But
yeah,
yeah,
she's like, so maybe like two
two
centimeters more.
centimeters taller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two, three
exactly.
centimeters more than her.
Yeah.
And uh yeah, and all the girls were stick thin, and
Mm,
I had a sweet tooth, and I had a hard time getting on that diet. And some girls are just more naturally long and thin. And but I guess
exactly. Yeah.
when I was starting, I was quite skinny, and then slowly, I think because I started acting, I just thought, this, I like my body. I'm not going to starve more than I'm already start. Like
Mm,
I just didn't want to, and I kind of
yeah.
held against it and thought, well, take it or leave it kind of mentality, and
Mm.
thought anyway, if maybe I'll do some other things, and this is great, but I'm not going to starve myself for this for the job.
Well, you
So
hear of so
that I
many women now coming out. I mean, I know Sporty Spice.
Mhm.
Melanie has come out with, that when she put on weight towards the end of the Spice Girls and was criticized so heavily, she said she was just starving. I mean, she was so hungry that when she started eating, she just ate.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's another issue of just embracing, as you said, like our own bodies, our own
Yeah,
physiques,
I
and being
saw a lot
proud
of
of that.
girls. Like I would go to shoots and I'd see some girl, and all they would have was an apple for lunch,
Mm,
and then they would faint during the shoots, and then you'd see some of them being bulimic and all this, and I just didn't want to do it. I don't know.
yeah.
I, yeah, I love fashion, but I wasn't ready. I guess I felt like I had success with boys, and
Mm,
and I was like,
yeah.
I'm not that terrible. But then sometimes I would try and put the sample sizes on it and be like, oh my God, this is tight.
Yeah. Well,
But
come on. These are like size zero.
yeah, but
I
I'm
mean,
somebody who's also, you tell me to do what, like, especially at that age when I was younger, everybody's doing that. I like being a bit different. So
mm,
I didn't want to just follow and be super skinny, even though I would manage at times, and then I would just go back. And
yeah.
I think I'm starting a diet tomorrow, and so tonight I'm going to eat ice creams and enjoy myself. And then the next day would come and I would forget that I was on a diet, and then be like, oh
Well,
no,
good for
oh,
you.
I'm supposed to be starving myself. But oh well, oops,
We
I'll do it
need people
tomorrow.
like you. So
Yeah.
I'm happy you didn't.
Yeah.
So let's go and then so you moved away from modeling into
Mhm.
acting. Why and how?
So as I was modeling, everybody told me, "Oh, if your last name, you should act, you should act, you should act." And I thought, "Oh, actually, that sounds interesting." And I started taking acting classes, and I did a few movies, but I quickly realized that I didn't really like it so much.
Mm,
Because I don't like being told what to do, like I was mentioning before. And acting is really like you follow what
yeah.
the director
The
likes,
director wants.
you're there to take orders. So
Hmm.
I always like say I directed a commercial once for Morgan, the clothing brand, and I
Mm,
always say like I would be a much better director than actor, because even the films that I did, they would be like, oh, the director would tell me, so the actress, your part right now is she's really sad, so you should cry. And I'd be like, no, I think she should be angry. Like, no.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
And
want to
I would
go with
make
a
it more of
different
my
emotion
own.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would make, and so yeah, that's so yeah, not really for me. And also I think I was really used to the fast pace of fashion, that suddenly when you're in movies, you're waiting around a lot and it's a lot slower. And I didn't like it so much. But then I felt, oh my God, what have I done? Now I'm supposed to be pursuing this career that I don't really like, that everybody says that I should be doing. Like they're telling me, oh, you look great on camera and your last name and blah, blah, blah. And my heart is not in it. And so I wasn't giving it my all. And um, I felt kind of stuck, because I was like, oh, I've bugged my parents to leave school to do this modeling and to do this and that. And took me a little while before I started saying, no, I'm not
Mm.
an actor. And still today people say, oh, actress, actress. And I'm thinking I did, like 5 films 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not an actress
Like
anymore.
I've evolved. I'm something different.
Yeah. But no, so then finally when I let go of it, it felt really liberating. And that's when I started doing more brand collaborations and being more
Mm.
creative and taking control and then I've started the Chaplin Awards. I have a TV show that I'm producing. I'm an ambassador for creams and I a beauty brand and
Tell us
doing
all
a
about that.
brand with my brother.
Tell us
So
about the Kiera business side.
yeah, so now so finally, and I think it's good in life. One thing I have to say about my acting classes, which was really good, is that my acting teacher told me, Kiera, stop being so stressed, and 'cause I can tell you want to do well, but you need to relax. It's like you're not a brain surgeon. No one's going to
Mm.
die if you mess up. And I was like, that's so true.
Yeah.
And so that's been
Yeah.
my philosophy of life and in life. And I like to, I think I want to
Mm.
try things and do things and take chances. And so yeah, so then Kiera the businesswoman started coming out, and I think the first kind of collaboration I did was with Hogan, the brand. I did a
Yeah.
shoe collection with them. Then I did some watches with a different brand, and then some cashmere collection for pashminas. And now I have a brand called Bufarma, which is a beauty brand made from
Mm.
buffalo milk. We launched that in January. I have the Chaplin Awards in Asia, which I've been doing for, I think we're going on the 6th year, where we give out awards and lifetime achievement awards to actors and directors. And we're also now starting the Golden Cane Award, which is for the younger generation. It's for the breakthrough artist of the year.
Oh.
And so it's growing over there and doing really well, which is great, and which I really like, because now with age also I'm more embracing my Chaplin side and feeling like, oh, it's like it's my name. I see it as
Mm.
a brand. What can I do? I do my own things and some things that are more with the family.
Mm.
Um, Whereas when I was younger, I was more about just proving myself and making a name for myself. And now I'm mixing the two, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I have that. I have also a alcohol brand that we're launching in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks in September in Munich, called Generation by Kieran Spencer Chaplin. And we have Irish single malt whiskey, vodka, like an
Wow. Oh, my
aperitif.
favorite.
Yeah, an aperitif. So that's being launched now, which is a lot of fun.
Amazing. Send me a message when you launch it, so
I
I'll
will. I
definitely buy
will.
some. We should get it in at the hotel, actually.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we'll do it. I love that.
Little
And
event.
okay, and then you've also got your charity side, like
Yes, then I
the
have my
charities.
yes,
Tell us about
I'm
those, because I know you get
so
so excited, so we all want to know.
yeah. So I always like doing a lot of women empowerment things, and I always
Hmm.
believe that women can do anything men can do if we put our minds to it. And I was lucky enough to be able to think like that because I grew up in the part of the world that I grew up in.
Mm.
And one day I met Waris Deary, who was a big supermodel from Somalia. And she was at a conference where I was going to talk about how I did this car rally with my friend in an electric car, and it's all women. It's about empowering women. And then she goes on to speak before me, and she tells her story of how she ran away from Somalia when she was 13.
Mm.
She was going to be married to a 60-year-old man and be wife number 3, because she was a nomad in Somalia, and that's
Mm.
where she lived. And then she became a supermodel, and she was
She
living
wrote
in
she
the
wrote the book, didn't
yeah,
she?
Desert Flower. And she was living on
Desert
the
Flower. It's
streets in London
amazing.
and was spotted, became a supermodel. Then she had problems in her lady area,
And
and then
she's
she
she's a
realized,
big advocate against
yeah, that she
female
was
circumcision.
that
Mm.
she was mutilated, that she was a
Mm. That's
somebody
horrible.
that had been through female genital mutilation, and she didn't realize that, oh, not the whole world, she thought every woman around the world was doing that, and then she discovered, no, this is not normal, and it's dangerous, and even the way she went through it, she said, like, it just brings so many complications, and so she has her foundation and she's fighting against that, and I thought to myself, I can't believe I have to go speak after this speech with my
Yeah, she's
right? When
amazing. Oh
she's
my
got everybody
goodness.
teary-eyed in the room. And I'm like, and on top of that, I can't, there's no women empowerment. We're really far behind as long as this is happening, because the
Mm,
only reason that this is happening is because men want to make sure that their future wives are virgins, that they have painful intercourse, so they will never cheat.
mhm.
And yeah, it's basically just, keeping them like cattle and making sure that they're going to be uncomfortable. And there's no
It's
benefit.
horrific. It's horrific. Her
Yeah.
book is amazing and such an eye-opener.
Yeah, no, and
Mm,
so as soon as I saw her, I said, how can I help? I said, I'm like a
mm.
privileged white woman. I can't go to Africa and tell people what you're doing is bad. They'll just send me home. Like, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
you can put it where the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah.
And so she told me about how they were doing schools in Sierra Leone, because they've been, at that point she'd been, working with her charity for 20 years, and she said, we've discovered that the only most sustainable way of fighting it is through education and through educating these young girls, because what happens is these families have too many children. They get married very young. They have too many kids. They can't feed them. They can't take care of them. They want to marry off their daughters as soon as
Mm,
possible because it's less mouths to feed. And the only way that they can get married is if they're cut. And so it just continues this cycle of poverty, and they don't get an education. They don't know how to read or write. They can't get a proper job, and they're just really stuck. So if they go to school, they can also learn about, because a lot of them think maybe it's a religious thing or something. They can actually go and look and see that it's not the case. It's just a tradition. And also we're giving them tools to, go to school, get a job. You don't need to get married at 12, 13,
mm.
because, that's the age that sometimes you see these girls getting married
It's
off.
horrible, horrible. That's amazing. So how could somebody help you or how could someone get involved with you?
Well, we have the website
Hmm.
desertflower.org, and
Hmm.
we need all the help we can get. It's a privately owned foundation,
Hmm.
so we live off donations basically. So yeah,
Hmm.
anybody wants to donate, you can go. You can also sponsor a little girl, because what we do is at the school, we make sure we tell the parents, okay, the kid comes to school, we feed the kid, because we have boys and girls, because we think it's also important for young boys
I
to
think it's
understand that
just as
this is bad.
important, maybe even
Yeah.
more so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, to change their mentality. But with the young girls, we make sure that uh, they see a pediatrician twice a year to make sure that they haven't been cut, while they're at school. And the parents get I think 30 euros a month or something, and they live off that. So it's an
So basically,
incentive.
you pay the parents so that they won't.
Yeah, so the girl can go to
Yeah.
school,
Hmm.
and so that she doesn't get cut. Yeah.
Mm. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
I have to correct what I said earlier because I said her book is horrific, not as in the book's bad. The book's amazing. Listeners, if you haven't read Desert Flower, please buy it now and read it, and it will
It's
change your
it's a
whole
really
view of
inspiring
it's an
story.
amazing story.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
No, the
So what I
courage
meant
of
to
this
say was
woman is
what happens
incredible.
to these girls is horrific.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So my dear, I ask everyone this for your favorite. Actually, no, 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 wait. I backtrack. I have another question for you.
Okay.
So of all the things that you've done, like there's 101 things that you are doing and still to do,
Yeah.
what are you proudest of? Maybe not what you're doing, but of yourself or in life. Like, what are you proudest
I
of?
think really one of my proudest moments is the school opening in Sierra Leone, because you go there, and I saw all these little kids that have is in Sierra Leone, 70% of the population doesn't know how to read or write. And I thought, my God, like I hated school, but I had the luxury to hate school. These kids are
Mm,
like dying to go to school. They're dying to learn. They were just so happy to know that somebody cared, somebody had opened the school, and they're all excited about going. And you think, wow, in a sense, was kind of easy to do because there's people on the ground and it doesn't cost that much money. And we were able to raise the money. And now all these little kids hopefully will have a better chance at a better future.
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, God bless you. Hope we have more people like you in the world.
Yeah.
I must connect you at some point to Noella Cusaros
Mhm.
Munsaka. It's said long name. She was also on this podcast. Olga knows her, and she's got a school in the Republic of Congo for girls
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
well to help educate them. And yeah, she does amazing things as well. So
Mhm.
um,
No,
I just
it's so
admire all
beautiful
you
to go
guys,
there.
and I
It's really
think,
nice.
yeah.
And it's like it's a great feeling. And it's like, oh wow,
Mm,
so nice to be able to help these people. That
yeah. So
you
nice to
don't
give
realize how
back.
badly they need it. So then you go and you think, wow, like, yeah, this
Yeah.
was a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Bless you. So, your favorite quotes, I ask everybody this. Do you have a favorite quote or a quote that you love? And
My favorite quote is imagination rules the world.
oh,
Yeah, and that's actually Napoleon Bonaparte
I said
that
that.
said
Yeah.
that,
I love that.
but I love it because everything that exists around us is something that somebody thought of
Mm,
points
yeah.
and just makes me think that anything is possible. So it's
Anything is possible.
mm-hmm.
That is beautiful. So the final question is from our crystal bowl here. So I get all the team members at St. Raphael Resort to throw a question in this bowl, and they don't know who's going to get it. You're not here to physically pull it out, but I
Yeah.
pulled one out earlier, and it is drum roll. If you could have worked in another field, what would it be? And I was like, oh my goodness, of all the questions, because you've
I feel like
worked
I've
in
done
like
like a lot of
100.
different
Yeah.
things.
So,
Um,
yeah, if
I
you could
feel
have
like
worked in another field.
I mean, I feel like I could have been a good lawyer.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Like
Knowing you,
arguing and doing all this. The only part is I just can't study to be a lawyer.
there you go. I said, knowing you, you'll probably be like, oh, actually, I should do law. Next
Yeah.
time we speak, you'll be like, yeah, I'm now a lawyer.
Yeah. No, I guess it's just when you watch movies and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if I could put in with the long hours of concentrating. I'm too ADD.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
need to be creating stuff. Yeah. But in my fantasy world, I would be great at arguing and getting my point.
yes. Well, maybe you should go back to acting just for that one movie to be the
There we go.
lawyer.
Exactly.
Just
I
for that
rest my
one.
case.
Yes. Case closed.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
perfect. Kieran,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for your time. I know your time is so precious.
Oh,
This has been
yeah.
lovely, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see you soon in person. Thank
Yes,
you
me
so much
too.
for being on this podcast and
Pleasure.
sharing
Real
some of your
pleasure.
light.
Always nice talking to you.
Always sending you love. Take care, my dear.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it helps us more than you may realize. If you are planning on coming to visit us at St. Raphael Resort and Marina, feel free to email our reservations team quoting Hotel Talk and receive an exclusive offer just for you. We look forward to seeing you soon, hearing your feedback about our show, and producing many, many more interesting episodes just for you, our listener, and our valued guest in mind. Thank you so much, and take care.